Hello, Cancer. How's everybody doing today? Whether it's morning or evening, I'm so glad you decided to join today and check in because this is one of the favorite readings that I do each year. Whenever I take a look at January, we'll also be pulling a few cards a little bit later to also peek at the new year, 2022. I'm going to be doing a special New Year's Eve broadcast. I've gotten a lot of questions about that. So I'll put a link up to my schedule here in just a few moments after I get started and put Apollo down so that you can track that. But so happy to see you today. We had a beautiful totem that's coming through today, which was the robin, the bird. So I'm going to put down my little furry assistant here, Apollo, and let's get started. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be looking at the sign of Cancer today. You can use my readings for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, and any aspect of your chart that you're familiar with. You can always come to any of these readings if you just need some support, some guidance, because especially the beginning portions, it's all channeled. And more than likely than not, I'll be able to help you out with kind of figuring out which path to take. This is all about free choice, the way that and free will. I'm here to kind of give you a compass and help you decide like what's in front of you, what's available. So without any further delay, let's kind of get into things here. I want to just set up a couple of quick expectations of how this is going to be organized, and then I'll get straight into the reading. Every month, I like to begin with channeled messages, and that's usually what I'm working on right before I get started here. The channeled messages for me come through dreams, through meditations, also through the research and the automatic writing that I do here as I get ready. So again, today yours is mostly the bird, and then a little bit here of some of the dream stuff that I got as well. After that, we'll look at the Celtic Cross, which will give us some additional details and, again, guidance. Then I'm going to switch things up a little bit. Of course, we have the expanded forecast where health, wealth, love, and destiny sets in. But in the sort of interim portion today, we'll look at blessings and blocks, maybe like a question that you want to answer. And then I'm going to look at the year ahead. So in this case, 2022, I'll look at past, present, and future influences for that. Then we'll go along to the meditation and a final card at the end. If I feel like I need to make any adjustments along the way, I will. You know, I always like to switch things up occasionally, so I'll make sure that I do that. If you need any questions answered, Marie Margarita is here. She's happy to kind of push you in the right direction. Let me give you a link to my website in case you ever want more information about my schedule or about who I am or what I do. I'm going to pin that link for you right now. It's right there. And also, I'll give you a quick link to specifically to the schedule so that you can see what else I'm doing this week. So all those links are right there. Feel free to take a look at them as I get started here. I'm going to pull out my, hey buddy, what you doing there? I'm going to pull out my iPad here and just get a couple pictures while we're talking. I want to just show, I always like to show a visual of our spirit totem today. It's going to be, like I said, the robin. And I just want to show a couple of images to make sure that you're familiar with it, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so robins are so beautiful, and I actually have a sound here that I'm going to cue up in a moment here so we can listen to their beautiful call. So here we go. There's some great pictures of the robin. I think we're all pretty familiar with this bird, but just in case you don't know what it looks like, it has that nice, lovely orange breast and kind of rusty color, if you will. A little bit lighter in color. I used to grow up on the East Coast, and I was familiar with the oriole, but this is more orange than yellow. And the orange color was what was coming through for me when all I saw was a bird with orange, and I thought it's got to be a robin. So, but I thought a little bit about the oriole too, just because of my, I'd spent some time in the East Coast. So the robin indeed is what we're going to be looking at today. Brightly colored, orange sort of belly, which is connected with the sacral chakra. And that's basically the power center for many things, for creativity, for desire, for expression, intimacy, and also emotional well-being. A lot of times it gets misunderstood. It's not just the sexual chakra. It's where we express our creativity. It's where a large part of our power is sort of held. Unfortunately, I'm sure many of us have had experiences in the past where people try to block it or shut it down. Things like fear and shame actually come in there oftentimes when we're trying to express the way we want to dress, who we want to have as a friend, who we're going to date. Sometimes there's judgment thrown onto us, and then that creates fear, anxiety, and shame. And so today, hopefully, we're going to kind of break away at some of that, especially later when I do the meditation at the end. We'll try to do some healing. And the judgment card in particular is really important because, yes, it can be harsh to receive judgment from others, but like the judgment card in tarot, we see souls rising up, just like a phoenix from the ashes. I'll pull it up here on my iPad real quick, just in case you need a visual for that. But basically, this is reminding us that, you know, everyone has an opinion. The most important thing, though, is what we decide to do with the information given to us. That's actually how stress can be basically released, because it's just a reaction. So when we decide not to react, or if we decide to react differently, then we actually take the power back. So let me just pull the card up, because it's always good to have a quick visual for this. So here we go. Here's the Judgment card, as we've come to love and know it. So right there is Judgment. And you can see the souls rising here, coming up from the dead, Gabriel blowing its horn. And basically, this is a chance for you to rise up. You don't have to be beaten down by someone, something, or by the past. There's always a chance for rebirth. And a couple of the decks that I love, especially the Sun and Moon deck, there's actually a beautiful bright phoenix, I think. It might be on the rebirth card, but on some decks, you'll actually see it also on the death or the judgment card, because they're all about sort of changes and transformations. So be the phoenix this month. Rise up. The way that you do this is believe in yourself or believe in your potential. So if other people in your life have taught you to fear, doubt, or to somehow question your authority, your opinions, this particular message, the robin bird with its beautiful, bold chest kind of pushing out there, is saying, hey, I'm bold. I believe in myself. You can too. So recreate or create the possibilities. I've talked before about how, like, recreation and recreation, depending on how you stress the word, it means different things. So recreation is to have fun. Recreation is to create something again. So why not have fun while you recreate something? I feel like it bears, you know, repetition on that particular point. Okay. How can you access your second chakra? How can you kind of open up this power center? Well, luckily it's fun through dance, through the arts, through art and as well, like painting, photography, music, writing, acting, anything that you do that is expressive. Also included with this would be fashion or cooking or interior design, also architecture, also exterior sort of design too, or if you're going to do anything that's landscaping. Whenever you're kind of making something else, pottery, there's so many different ways. So I want you to do something that allows you to express an idea. And that will help open up your power center. And it's going to give you more strength than you actually could believe that you would have. We don't pay enough attention to chakras 1, 2, and 3. So the root chakra, the sacral, and then also the solar plexus chakras all need to be open, because if we're only focusing on heart, throat, third eye, and crown, we're kind of like one of those those little bobbly things that you put on your table where the head's too big, right? So we need to make sure that we have the strong roots in the planet, and we also have that strong core. So yeah, energy center number 2, chakra number 2 came through, and it's basically saying, open up, be yourself, express yourself, be bold. You'll need to use the solar plexus as well. And then you're going to kind of pull that energy up through the throat to create, to express, to decide how you're going to do something with that. All right. Like I said, don't be afraid to try or follow your passion, and I would say your intuition this month. You know what to do. You know what feels right. Trust not just your gut, but like your core. And I think that will never lead you astray, truly. If you feel like something's really good or really bad, you need to go there and understand why that's coming through. Okay. All right, let's go back into the robins. Robins are mostly eating things like fruit, berries, insects, and earthworms. And it's the earthworms and the fact that they sing really early that kind of reminded me of this phrase, the early bird gets the worm, which we'll talk about here. But one last thing, and I'm going to pull up their call just so we can hear it. Robins often sing before sunrise. Let me see if I still have the audio available for how they sound. Let's see. I think I have one here, and I'm going to try to pull the most easy one to kind of play and hear. Here's one. Okay. So this is what the robin sounds like. At least I think this might be the American robin, so it might be a little different if it's a European one, but let's see if we can make this sound go up here. There we go. Beautiful, right? So that's what it sounds like. And many of you may hear this right before you get up in the morning. Maybe you hear it before you go to bed at night, but it's a lovely sound. I like the idea of not delaying, about being sort of that early bird. So let me just get the window back so I can see you. Here we go. So that early bird getting the worm is key. It's really about being prompt and punctual, acting swiftly on any sort of ideas or inspiration because someone else may have a similar idea. Don't overwork something that you're thinking about either. So perfection has a time and a place. If we're going to put something out into space, if we want something to last for 100 years or something, there's certain times where we want to really perfect the manufacturing. But most of us and most ideas in general are works in progress. You'll notice now, even with like technology and a lot of software, the first release is always buggy, but it's oftentimes about getting something out to market. So there might be a timeline or a deadline that is important for you to make. And what you can do is sort of like phase something. Like in construction, a lot of times you could open up a certain portion of a building, and then the rest of it's still under construction, but that allows for commerce to begin, for people to start to see a return on the investment. In our own lives, it might be about letting people in on an idea. So if you're writing, and we're going to talk about this later, but I saw the importance of brainstorming. So whether it's music or you're doing a screenplay, or you're doing a curriculum, or you're doing some sort of an instructive sort of thing, you need to get some eyes and ears on it before you go too far, because you can course correct early, but if you go too far, then it's going to be more difficult to make any error, to fix any errors that might be there. So basically showing people where you're at, progress updates, very important. All right, let's move on to the next piece, and this kind of is a part of that, but both male and female robins feed the young. I like that, equal sharing of opportunity and responsibility. However, they are fiercely defensive over the nest. So you don't want to kind of mess with a robin's nest. This to me reminded me of the Empress reversed, the Four of Cups, also the Seven of Wands. So with Empress reversed and Four of Cups, I'm sorry, it's not Four of Cups. I'm going to change this. It's Four of Pentacles. With the Four of Pentacles, what happens with the Four of Pentacles here is sometimes we're holding on to something and we're afraid that, is this it? Will it be everything? And Empress too, sometimes it's like a mama bird or a mama bear that wants to kind of like hold on to their young, but you have to let something go. So now it's a little harder to read because I scratched it out, but basically just avoid the Empress energy or the Four of Pentacles energy and give others the space that they need. I think particularly when it comes to relationships in your life, there could be someone or something that just needs a little bit of breathing room. And the sooner you do that, the easier it's going to be. If you are a grown-up child and your parent still kind of swoops in and questions your authority or your decision-making, this is something where you want to create better boundaries. And as an adult, if you have grown-up children, you want to do the same. Even if you have younger children, if we kind of swoop in too much, it's kind of like a helicopter mom or dad. It makes it difficult for them to feel secure. And this is kind of going back to the second chakra. We want to make them feel safe to express themselves, to explore new things, to make mistakes. So whether you didn't get that or you're struggling to get that now, this is basically saying it's going to be all right. And you have to just sort of like give space and ask for space if you need it too as well, of course. And then the other one was Seven of Wands, which has a sort of defensive stance. You'll see a bunch of wands in front and there's one person kind of like trying to push them all back. So there is a time and a place where it makes sense to stand up for yourself, by all means, yes. There's also a time and a place where you don't want to be overly defensive. So if, for instance, you are making an announcement, and the announcement could be something that could even be controversial, but you really stand behind it, you should be able to sort of back up your idea and defend it as needed, but you don't want to be defensive, like overly aggressive in that sort of like explanation. If you are really happy and you're just sharing something with someone and you're not trying to get their opinion, you want to kind of frame it up by letting them know that this is just something that's already happening and you just wanted to bring them in the loop. So just say, FYI, I wanted you to hear it from me because this is exciting and this is a part of my life and I'm working on it or whatever, and then let it out. Otherwise, if you ask for permission or if you kind of say it tentatively, then they do something, then you get defensive. Or if they ask a question and you just kind of jump on the aggressive point, they might have just been trying to get some information. So take a deep breath, try to understand where they're coming from, and also understand that we can't always make everyone happy. It is not a healthy sort of way to live your life. If you're living your life well, you're probably going to, no matter what, some people are going to disagree with you and you're going to probably disagree with them. It's just a decision of how and when you're going to fight over certain things, because not everything is worth it, right? So figure out that stance, figure out the release that we were seeing with Empress and the Four of Pentacles, and that's going to be really, really important. All right. The next piece here. Sometimes I get timelines when I look or research one of our totems, and what I was getting here with your timeline was about 2 weeks, 2 to 2.5 weeks. A little baby robin bird, which leaves its nest, is usually leaving at the 14 to 16 day mark. And then it's basically symbolizing for you that you're going to have a 2 to 3 week sort of energetic spurt of energy, or a sprint of energy, where you're feeling like I can make anything happen. And if that's the case, by all means, really engage and do something with it. For those of you that remember growth spurts growing up, they're short-lived and a little awkward while you're going through it, but then you kind of ease into what's happened. So, we're looking right now at January, but for those of you watching live, this could be toward the end of this month. You could just be feeling this awakening, and you're going to really move with that new energy and think, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see where this takes me. Okay. So these are the main messages that the lovely Robin totem came through and taught us. Now there's some messages here that I also received in dreams, and they were pretty clear, pretty lucid dreams too. So I'm not a musician myself, but I saw myself in a jam session, kind of basically with other musicians, showing like little forks of the songs that we were working on. And for those of you that are musicians, this is going to be important. Put that recorder on, whether it's digital or an actual sort of old-fashioned recorder, and basically make sure that you are capturing this, because the early portions of the conversation were very fruitful, and then I saw you having to go back and kind of like recreate what you were talking about. So the minute you step into a room where you are brainstorming, document it. So of course, in corporate America, you would have sort of like a secretary role, someone writing it down, or again, hitting a record button on a digital device. Make sure that that's happening. Take the pictures, take the sound recordings. Obviously, everyone needs to be okay with that, but assuming that you're getting together for the express purpose of creating something, you need to record it. And I got a couple of fruitful things coming out of that, 2 or 3, 2.5, I would say. Some great ideas would be formed. So if you're stuck, hire someone, partner up with someone, get some external points of view in there. And I think it's going to be exciting. I think that you're going to have a breakthrough, a creative breakthrough. This is again going into chakra number 2. And the cool thing is you're in a safe space when you're with some other people, where they're kind of, yeah, how about that? Yeah, let's try this. That's cool. So all of a sudden you're given that sort of push that you need to get out of your own little nest and move on and birth that project or birth that idea. Okay. You don't have to be a musician. This is basically just saying, if you need some help or some support on something, there's power in numbers, because you get that sort of maternal, paternal energy that might be missing somewhere else. Not the kind that's holding you back, but the kind that's sort of like pushing you forward. Okay. Now I want you to, we'll change a focus here. The other thing was, this is all about, the Robin came through to show us the importance of being early, being on time, prompt, acting quickly. The next thing that I saw was, it looked like a race, but it reminded me of a dance. So if we combine the two metaphors together, it looks like there's a deadline, but it also looks like there's a certain sort of protocol or sequence that you have to work through. So I woke up a little too late. Like I didn't write down exactly how many steps, but I can say it's probably around 6 or 7, because I can kind of see, it's almost like there were these, I had to hit my mark. I'm going to write that down so that I can make sure that I can get it later. So for those of you that are actors, hitting your mark is being in the right place at the right time, right? And making sure that you are kind of talking and getting the lighting and the right camera and all of that. So what you're really focusing on right now, I'm going to write it down, is hitting your mark. And in this case, there may actually be a few marks that you have to hit. And I saw that you need to allow for at least 3 different attempts, 3 different rehearsals in order to memorize it. So I had to run through a few times. Each time I was running through, more and more of the people left. So by the 3rd time, it was kind of like on the honor system. I was just doing it for myself to make sure that I was ready. This is pretty much a good thing that any of you can do if you're going to do a public speaking event, for instance, you'd want to run it through on your own. Then you'd probably do a practice with someone else. Then you're going to do it again on your own, integrating their feedback just until you can get it in your head. Do at least 3 of those rehearsals, and then you're okay. So if you have to present something, if you have to go for an interview, if you have to perform for a race or a relay or something like that, because it could be literal, you need to have some rehearsals so that you understand the lay of the land, and you basically get it in muscle memory. So if it doesn't make sense now, just remember some of this, and remember we're looking ahead at 6 to 8 weeks. So revisit this as necessary, and hopefully some of these things will come into clarity as you get closer, okay? So those were the really interesting messages that the robin brought through today. Cool totem. I don't think I've worked with this particular bird as a totem today, but that's all I could see this morning was that really bright colored feathering on the chest of the robin. And then it really kind of sparked me to look at the second chakra, and I think that's going to be super important for all of you, okay? I like the idea of rising from the ashes when we were talking about the judgment card. I think the timely nature of the bird as well, being early, being able to sort of like put something out there and revise it as necessary, a work in progress rather than on something that's perfect. I think that's another thing to think about, okay? So you're going to be fine. The good news was you didn't, when I saw someone that's worrying about like a presentation, by the 3rd attempt, you didn't need anybody there. It just felt like you had internalized everything. You completely understood what the assignment was, so to speak, and you were fine, okay? So take a deep breath, do the prep work, and then just show up and really kind of like hit it out of the park, and I think you'll be great. All right, we're gonna get into the next section. Just a couple of quick notes before I do this. If there's anything today that you missed, I always post my handwritten notes on social media. So that link that I put up there earlier to social media will apply here. So I'm at Nicholas Ashbaugh on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And then at Nicholas or N Ashbaugh rather on Twitter. And again, you can find these things that I wrote down there. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please, if you're a first-time visitor, hit subscribe. I saw we've got some new members here. That's another way to show support. You can also hit the like button. That engagement is super important, because it just helps YouTube sort of say, hey, this is something people like. On replay, you can also hit thanks if you'd like to. Anybody that gives back today, I'll always say thank you at the end. So know that I see you right now, but I'll say your name at the very end so I don't interrupt the flow. All right, let's get into the reading. If you just joined, a quick reminder that this can be used for your sun, rising, moon, or Venus. If you're more experienced with your chart and you know a lot of different placements, then you can use this for any placement. All right, let's take a look at what's coming through for the month of January, and also the time starting now 6 to 8 weeks in advance. We have some really interesting, I mentioned judgment. We have like loved one in heaven, ascension, Osiris. There's a lot of movement and change. We have the Fool here as well. So I feel like many of you are on the precipice of a really big shift in your life. We got everything short of the Death card here, which is cool. And actually all of your central cards are really good. We did get what I expected, the Four of Pentacles coming through, which shows the fear It also can be associated with shutting down that second chakra. But most of what I'm looking at here is pretty good. So I'm feeling very good about the month ahead. And like I said, we'll be pulling a few cards after I get into the next portion to look at the next year. But so far, so good. Okay. I decided today to kind of change up some of my oracle cards. So we're going to be using Lord Ganesha for the catalyst. We have a relaxation card here. And the important thing, I always kind of stress that we underappreciate the energetic benefit of just having fun, relaxing, resting, sleeping, sometimes doing nothing or creating some space in our life so that we can just integrate, decompress, and understand what's going on in our life. So Lord Ganesh is coming through and saying, please give yourself that important time to nurture yourself and to just be present. When you relax, it often becomes a lot more clear, if not easy, and maybe even fun to see the way from this point to this point. And sometimes it is the curvy line, sometimes it's a straight line, but through dreams, through meditation, and just letting go a little bit, we're able to access what Lord Ganesha is showing us here, okay? And Lord Ganesha is a really cool deity and symbol. Whether or not you kind of believe in this particular deity, it doesn't matter. The message that's coming through from Lord Ganesha is whatever blocks you have, I can help you remove them, and I can help you remove them through taking it easy. You're working too hard, or you're thinking too much, or you're stressing too much. So have a little rest. Take a nap, meditate. It'll be okay. All right. So thank you so much. I love this particular deity because, again, it's a lucky symbol, the elephant, very, very intelligent animal. And I like that it's actually more graceful than you would think, even though it's really big. It has all of these sort of contradictory qualities. So I can understand why this particular deity is symbolized by an elephant. It makes sense. Okay, let's move into your center card. So we have the moon on the water. And in this particular deck, I believe this is just the moon card. I'm double checking, but yes, it is. So what we're looking at with this is sort of this. What I like about this card is that you see that some of you might just be stubborn. And you may have a Taurus moon, by the way. The card was reversed, so we see what looks like a bull in the background. So for some of you right now, it's difficult for you to get past an emotional feeling. You're very, very sort of rigid, stuck, or clear on something that you want to be your way. And what this card is showing you is that there may have to be some flexibility on the way something happens. Not everyone is going to believe in what you believe in. Not everyone is going to show up in the way that you'd expected. So one thing that you can do is just sort of try to meet someone at the halfway point. So in a traditional moon card, we would see the dog and the wolf. We would see a path between them. The path also usually leads to a brighter horizon, greener pastures. So the dog and the wolf can represent distractions on that path. So your distraction in this card could be just feeling like this is the only way. I'm going to dig my hooves in, and this is the only thing that I can do. So I think I really want you to kind of be open-minded on this. Keep an open mind. Now, the cool thing, though, I have a Taurus moon, by the way, so I understand this for those of you that might be Taurus moon. One thing that you want to do is understand that when you really get your heart and your mind and your soul kind of together on something, it's a very powerful placement, because what that will allow you to do is then just move forward. You feel it, you trust it, you'll do it. So if you dig your feet in because you believe in something, great. If you're digging your feet in and there's like some sort of a face-off with someone, it may not be as good. For the rest of us, let's take the Taurus piece out of it. The moon card in reverse is really just about not being afraid, being willing and able to face our fears and to look forward to, something on the horizon, something else beyond what's going on right now. So you can also need to maybe look at the heart of a matter. So if there's something that you've been trying to sweep under the rug, this card is saying it's going to come out one way or another. Better to deal with it now than later. Okay. So trust your heart, trust your gut, dig in when it makes sense. In other cases, though, focus on what's on the horizon, because like I said, there's normally a road or a path in front of you. So how much energy is this current sort of distraction or connection worth? All right, crossing this card, we have the Knight of Arrows, and in this particular deck, that would be the Knight of Swords. We have the Hawk card here, which is helping us see things from a higher perspective. Knights move things forward. You have the ability in a few words this month to make something happen or to make something stop. Just by saying no or stop it or I don't think so, that can shut something down. By calling someone up and saying, let's get started, you can also begin something. Your words are very powerful, and the Knight is showing the ability to move it or stop it. So where do you sit on something? What do you want to do? And even if it's something like this, if someone hasn't been telling you the truth, or if you're afraid of something, or you just feel like you need to discuss something, use your words, elevate that conversation as well. You're going to be okay. Knights act in the best possible way. So you're going to have to lead by example, especially when other people are incapable of doing something the right way. Keep an eye on what's going on. Hawks have really good vision. So, hawk eyes. So I want you to kind of take a look and really, if there's anything in a document form that you have to understand, go into that fine print, put on your glasses, talk to somebody, make sure that you understand what's going on. If there's something going on in the periphery that needs attention, take a time out and attend to that. It's very important that you keep an eye on the big picture, bird's eye view, and you also kind of go into the small little things that need your attention as needed. You, though, aren't necessarily going to have to be the one that's kind of making the changes. You might have to be in a leadership role. Just keep people accountable for it, because the two of these things are really, this is like a lack of accountability, and this is about keeping that accountability in place. Okay, so let's go into your deep past. This is a nice connection to what we saw in the catalyst. So we have Lord Ganeshan saying relaxation. We see him kind of relaxing here. In the deep past here, we see the Four of Swords reversed. Four of Swords usually would show someone sleeping, or it can also be a coffin. That's why we have this sort of like reincarnation or rebirth energy here with the butterfly. So what this card is showing you is that any sort of past setback, mistake, failure, whatever you want to term it, was just a pause in the road and a redirection so that you could see it from a different perspective. So you have this butterfly moment coming through for you where you truly get to emerge like the phoenix from the ashes, and you're going to be better for the experience. But you are probably not getting enough sleep, and you may not be letting something go. There are actually like 4, maybe 5. There's a lot of death cards in tarot. They're not all just death. So the Four of Swords is a gentle sort of, it's kind of like a fire ember burning out. The Six of Swords is much more active. It's about deciding to move from one point to another. The Fool card is another death card. It's about not being afraid. You've actually moved through transformation or death, and you're going through the door. Or the World card. World and Fool together can equal death. Judgment can be a death card. There's a lot of different beginnings and endings. You have a few here that I see. You have the 2 gentlest ones here. So the deep past is telling me something should have been let go, but it wasn't. But when you're showing up here in your ego position this month, you're ready to let go. So I feel like this is a chance to release. You know what you need to release. You know what maybe you're working too hard on. If something's too much work, which can be what the Four of Swords reversed is saying, too much work, not enough rest, not enough coming back, then what you get to do now is say, I'm letting that go. I'm going to stop investing as much time and energy in that because there's something that's more receptive to what I'm putting out there, right? I love this card. It's one of the best Four of Pentacles because instead of showing the limit, it really shows the fear. And when you look really close at the caption on it, it shows protection. We have a lovely little baby deer sitting there, and it's just kind of afraid to come out of the safe space. It might be waiting for its mom or someone to kind of come through and say, here's the way. So for some of you out there, you're just wanting clear leadership or clear indication. The truth is sometimes we have to just step out of that protective space and trust that it's going to be okay. So working on fear, working on doing what you need to feel protected and to feel safe. For each of you, that's going to be something different. So as long as you are navigating that, you're going to be okay. But the Four of Pentacles in and of itself is a limited card. Usually the limitations are ones that we're putting on ourselves. So if you think that this is as good as it gets, but you're not really satisfied with it, it's not as good as it gets. What you're doing is holding on to a safety zone and kind of like biding time. So you don't need to do that forever. And this card is saying when you let it go and you say to the universe, I trust that there's another person, job, opportunity, etc., then it starts to come through. You don't want to leave yourself in a place where there's no safety net. So do everything that you need. If there's a certain monetary mark that you have to hit so that you feel safe, if there's a certain group of people around you that you need, fine. But eventually this card is saying, like the little baby bird coming out of the nest, it's going to be time. Remember that I saw 14 to 16. It was days with the baby birds, but the numbers are most important here. It could be weeks for you. So that could be about 3 to 4 months, maybe, for some of you before a big shift or movement is happening. But it doesn't have to take that long. That's just the current sort of mark energetically that you're putting out there. I say that because your crowning card shows that there's already something happening. We have the Ace of Pentacles here, and this one shows, if we look at the caption, it says the foundation of life, but basically that means that this is like a seed. In different decks, this can be a lot of different things, but Ace of Pentacles can be new love, a proposal, a project idea. It can be money coming in. It can be an opportunity presenting itself. It could be an idea, but it's fruitful. It's basically like fruit with a seed in it. There's something that you can do with that. It's good. So you have something to look forward to. It may be right there in your head, since this is in the head space. It may be right around you, but it's pretty darn close, and it's pretty soon as well. So be open to embarking on and planting that seed sooner rather than later, so that it can bear fruit and you can harvest that and do something with it. Using a lot of metaphors, but you know what I'm getting at here. Okay. So yes, for some of you, job opportunity, proposal, idea. These are like the biggest things jumping out at me with this. Do something with that beginning. Don't let it just sit there, because otherwise someone else will grab it. When we were talking about, you know, the early bird gets the worm, same sort of thing here. Okay. 2 of Wands here, and the next sort of like three to 6 weeks here, because, or usually I do 6 to 8, but this is pretty soon, I would say, because it's in the midpoint of this month. So I would say by early to mid-January, you have to start to make a decision here. The 2 of Wands is really powerful. So I like that they showed these like flaming wands here. Normally you would see a person holding on to a crystal ball or a globe, basically indicating that I have an idea. This is where I want to go. This is how it's going to work. I can see it sort of happening. So this is not even just that. It's sort of saying, not only do I see these things happening, but I feel the energy. I feel the sort of inspiration to move it forward. And I decide, we see decision on that one. I decide to do something about it. So are you ready to decide that this is the path that you want to take? 2 of Swords and 2 of Wands are actually somewhat similar. The 2 of Wands is just, you trust your feelings more. The 2 of Swords, you have the blindfolds on, you have the path behind you, but you're not doing anything about it. This time the person's turning around and looking at the path and saying, I better choose a direction. I better decide what I want. And when I project out what I want, then I know that I'm going to be able to do it better. And you're going to be able to do it better the sooner you know that this feels good to me. This is what I want. This is who I am. So really kind of leaning into that is going to be very powerful and very important for you. This is what fires up the High Priestess. So she's really powerful, but she's powerful because she's done the work and she knows what she wants. The Magician feels what's going on and has all the tools, but she has all the knowledge, and she got the knowledge through this 2 of Wands meditation. So meditate, think, and decide. I want it. I'm doing this. It's happening. Not a maybe, not a try, not a sort of, it's like an active verb. It is, I am, it will, etc. And that's how you can activate that 2 of Wands. Okay. It's also second chakra, you know, and we have all this fire coming up. Same sort of energy around the second and third chakras that I was seeing with the Robin and the Oriole a little bit with the orange and the yellows. So we really need to focus on those 2 chakras together. Okay. But it means that it's a good month ahead for you. All right. I like that. Let's look now at where you are, how you're showing up. We have the Wanderer or the Fool. I like that she is kind of like stepping on the rainbow. I talked earlier, it's come up ironically for one sign a couple of times, but the rainbow is kind of cool because chasing rainbows isn't necessarily something that we could actually do due to the way that light refracts and reflects. It would always be in a different position. So this is kind of, there's 2 parts to this, which is trust where you're going and don't follow someone else just because you think that's the way to go. You've got to listen to the inner compass. So pay attention to this, not what you're being sort of shown externally. But anyway, I love this particular card. The Fool is about releasing fears, taking a leap of faith, and also kind of just being able to change and course correct every step of the way as needed. I talked about that, and that kind of is like the antithesis also of the Four of Pentacles, which is it has to be perfect or I can't put it out there. This is saying, well, we'll just figure it out today. Every day is a new day. Every moment's a new moment, moment to moment. So it feels like there's a little bit more comfort with ambiguity. The more you can get behind that feeling, and because you are water, because you can go with the flow, trust yourself. You'll figure it out. Put your heart into it and just kind of like go with that energetic flow and see where it takes you next. All right, let's look at the next card here. I really like what I see here in the environment. We have success. We have people waiting for you to show up. So we have the Six of Wands here, and it says abundance as well if you look at the caption. And then as we look at this, the people are missing here, but it's almost as if it's kind of like the field of dreams. The scene has been set, but you're the one they're waiting to sort of like show up and step into the role. So it feels like some of you might have done a lot of work to set up some sort of movement, change, or opportunity in your life. We're getting a confirmation or a nod here from the cards that the time is now and that people are ready for you. What could be holding you back could be a fear of being seen, because the Star card, the World card, the Six of Wands, they're very much out there. And this card is saying, hey, where are you? Are you ready to step into the spotlight? So don't be afraid. Be yourself. If people showed up or are supporting you or expressing interest in what you're doing, it's for a reason. Sometimes you can't see it, but everyone else around you can see it. So if everyone else around you is seeing it and showing that support, they're seeing something that you aren't, and just go with it, because the Fool will go with the flow and see where that energetic flow takes you, okay? Don't do something just to please other people. This is the fact that nobody is here, that's the most important thing. This is never about their approval. This is never about receiving some shiny award or accolades or money. It's really just about doing what is right and knowing that that in and of itself will ironically kind of bring you that support, that success that you need. You're already successful. You're already on the right path. All you have to do is show up. That's basically the message here. So show up and you're going to do fine. Don't let the fear of performance, visibility, judgment step in the way. That was the past. The Robin came through to teach us that earlier. It doesn't play a role anymore unless you want it to. When I look at your opportunities this month, we have the Six of Pentacles. And what's going to be important here, card is reversed, but let's look at it upright. What's going to be important here is that you say when. Kind of like, you remember when you were a kid and someone would keep pouring something or putting food on your plate until you said when? You need to say when enough is enough. And also vice versa. If someone keeps asking, say when they've asked too much, like enough is enough in that particular way. So the balancing of the scales is important here. It says exploitation on this. So you want to make sure that you aren't being exploited by others. These, it looks like they're actually like these little bee hives behind there. So one of the things here is that when you kind of take a break, you're no longer that worker bee, you become the queen bee. So I want you to kind of step into the power of creating, of deciding how much to give, what to do, and be the queen bee, not the worker bee, and really understand that there's more power than you realize. This is a good resource card, believe it or not, because it shows me that you have more than enough. There are just some tiny little tweaks and, you know, changes and adjustments that you need to do on expenditure to make sure that you maximize it. So if you just look at something in a slightly different way, you would be surprised at what's available to you. All right. So say no a little bit more to things that you don't want to do. Say yes a little bit more to the things that you do want to do. And then remember that there's actually a lot of support. Those worker bees are actually what we kind of saw here in the Six of Wands. If you need to hire help, or if you need more support to get something done, or if you need a team to kind of work with on that jam session that I talked about, then bring them in. All right. Your outcome card is pretty good. The only thing with this one sometimes is there can be this feeling of getting lost in the shuffle. So we have the Five of Wands. We have this person here in the kind of like pulling their wand, like Sagittarius. I was talking about that the other day. looking at the long term. So you're almost being asked to step away from the busy work and become the sort of leader here. Pull your bow and arrow and focus on what's important. And so I would say that for many of you, that's what you need to be doing here, is kind of like stepping out of the crowd and taking the lead. Okay. But I like what I see here a lot, actually, specifically the Ace of Pentacles, specifically the Fool card showing a breakthrough, and then the success in the environment, and then the fact that you have more than enough resources. All right. So it's looking pretty good. You just have to not get lost in the shuffle, which can be a part of this Five of Wands. Sometimes we just feel like we're stuck here when in fact we should be sort of like leading the charge. Okay, let's expand the forecast now and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny to get some additional insights on what's coming through. Your health card, loved one in heaven. So some of you may be thinking of someone who's passed. You also might just be letting go of something. This sort of, to me, is very much like a judgment card here. If you want to kind of connect with ancestral energy as well, let's say that you're one of the fortunate ones out there, that everyone that you love, they're still alive. There's also sort of this sort of ancestral energy that all of us carry from this lifetime and our families that we're connected to and born into, also from previous lifetimes. So you can do some work right now to break ancestral sort of like patterns and to free all of, like, when you do it, then you actually kind of like free the ancestral lineage, like the chain of command and energy there. So you can decide this lifetime, I'm bringing more wealth and opportunity. I'm focusing more on self-love. I'm going to do something that impacts the world differently. I'm going to step into my power, whatever it is that you do. And then you're going to forgive and release the energy from the ancestral sort of cycles that might have happened. So maybe your parents, your parents' parents, and their parents' parents, so your great-grandparents, there's this thing where something's happened. Maybe bad money, maybe there's been abuse, maybe there's just been like lack of honesty, infidelity, or whatever. You're going to be the one that changes the cycle. Okay. For the rest of you, and this one hits me too, because this time of year I usually will connect with people who have passed, because we're right at that. Halloween is one point, New Year's is another point. So if you're seeing like a parent that's passed, grandparent, or a sibling, just know that they're there to protect you and also to help release karma. I do get a sense for many of you that there's just some karma, some baggage that can be let go of. And as you start a new year, kind of like cleaning out the closets, why not release the old and make room for something new? It's going to be a healthier way to sort of like approach the new year. Okay. Let me specifically look at some of the cards for health here as they show up in tarot, and we'll get some additional messages here. Just to reiterate, I feel like I've already done this, but we're going to talk about it one more time. Get some sleep. Some of you may be having poor quality of sleep. Like not everyone needs the same amount, but what I'm seeing here with the Four of Swords is you're either working yourself so much that by the time you go to sleep, you're really exhausted, and it's you just kind of conk out. It's like either too much or too little. So this sort of like chaotic yo-yo sort of thing where it's up and down, or you're not getting enough, or the quality is very short. And you're like 2 or 3 hours and you wake up 2 or 3 hours. You need to go to the doctor if that's the case. Whenever I look at health, standard disclaimers apply with this. I'm not a doctor, but I see patterns. And the pattern that I see here is like this inconsistency or this exhaustion. So do what you need to with the health professional that you want to make sure that you are getting the rest and relaxation that your body needs and that you've earned and deserved. Okay. If you're feeling lethargic, it could be at the other end where it's too much and you're feeling a lack of motivation. Whatever it is, could be hormonal, could be diet, could be emotional. Whatever it is, you need to kind of take care of it so that you can really take advantage of all the opportunities coming in the new year. Let me see if there's anything else here. Gentle movement in your life is key. Although I think, you know, there's a time and a place for weight lifting and all kinds of sort of like jogging and running and everything. The Wanderer is just walking. So gentle things like sitting in your chair and stretching a little bit, walking, swimming, depending on the limits of your body. Moving is key. Moving, and especially getting your hips moving, because we don't see this person sitting in a chair. So whatever you can do to stretch and move hips and legs and ankles, again, working with your doctor for approval on that, that's going to be important. Let me see what else we've got here that's worth mentioning. Just moderation as we go through the holidays. Six of Pentacles tells you can do what you want, just don't overdo it. And I think that's going to be very important. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's move on to the Wealth card. So we have Ascension here. Let me just put on my glasses so I can read the caption on it. It says, move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is here. So I like that. And there's definitely a very clear message here, because we have this loved ones in heaven, then we have Ascension, and then the final card is actually Osiris, King of the Dead. So we're seeing all different forms of transformation, and they're hitting all of your major life categories that I focus on. It makes a lot of sense since I'm looking at January. So there's movements, but they're different types of transformation. So this one is about going higher, going up. Makes a lot of sense that this one hit in your work category, because many of you may just feel like, I need something more. I need something bigger. This needs to be more than what it was. So start having the necessary conversations with those who might be in management if you're working, you know, for a company, and say what is necessary to get to the next level. If you're feeling a block of that ascension, since the Five of Wands card was in reverse, many of you may need to break out or break through the glass ceilings, or break out of that sort of limited place that you're in. The good news is you have time. I'm not seeing any sort of immediate danger. It just feels like for some of you, you need more flexibility. So do some work, do the legwork, figure out what's out there, spread your wings. We had the robin as your totem today, so get it. And we also had the hawk at the center. So your ability to kind of like reach out and talk to people is going to be key. You'll open up a door that you didn't even think might be there. All right. So if you're not allowed to do the right thing, if you're not allowed to kind of go to a higher level, that's a clear sign. And that right thing is very important, because, you know, I was talking to someone about a month ago who had to do the wrong thing. That's the best way that I could put it. And I basically mirrored something back that they'd sent once to me. And I'm like, why are you doing this then? This probably isn't the best place for you to be if that's what's going on. If you have to do things that you don't like and hurt people or tell people bad news, then it's not the right place. So follow your heart. If you want to do something that's better, if you deserve better, if it's time to move up, the Ascension card is saying you're being supported. Look around, you'll find it. May take a couple of months, but you'll find it. Okay. So now's the time to put the energy out there and do the work. Let's look at some other cards around wealth. So I feel like a lot more is available to you. This is the past, the Four of Pentacles. This is the future. It's reversed, but I'll pull it up right, which is the Six of Pentacles. It's a lot more energy and resources and money that's available for you. So you have to kind of like fight and advocate for a little bit more. With it reversed, many of you are used to giving a lot more to others. What's interesting on this one is this is actually first person. What's missing on this card would be the person holding the scale and holding the money. So we instead see the people asking. So what this tells me, because I'm really familiar with the cards here, you're actually the one holding the scales. We're looking at this first person, at the people around you, which tells me that you can ask for more, you can give less, you have more power than you're actually aware of, because we're looking at this first person, at the people around you. If you're around a place where they're used to having people not speak up, or they like people to be more in this position, can I have some more, like Oliver Twist? Not only can you have some more and should you have some more, but you can find more elsewhere if you need to, because you're in a place where they're not supporting you. So that's what I'm seeing there, is the chance to break through. You're going to be surprised. There's a big old ace in the crowning spot here. So if not there, then somewhere else. This holds true for a relationship too. So, you know, I don't do private appointments anymore, but when I used to do readings, I would say still probably 70% of what I would do in private appointments would be love and relationships. And a lot of times there would be someone that was looking at someone else and asking, like, you know, it's kind of like the Whitney Houston song, "How will I know?" If they're not giving you clear indications, if they're not giving you a return on your sort of interest, you already know. So if they don't text you back, if they don't call you back, if you're always the one initiating, if it feels like it's a pain to try to get something to happen, then they're not invested. They're the Four of Pentacles. They're not giving you what you deserve. And you deserve a lot more. So In relationships, in jobs, in family situations, there's somewhere where the scale is out for you, and you get to kind of say, I'm tired of always being the one that's asking, so I'm going to just wait a little bit and see what happens. Okay. And then you can kind of course correct. And if they ask what's up, just say, nothing, I'm doing great. Good to hear from you. It's nice. Thank you so much. Give them some positive feedback. Say, you know, I love the fact that you reached out. Yeah, let's do something. Let them initiate, but also don't kind of fall into an old pattern as well. So you kind of know where you stand with someone if it's always you initiating, and if it feels like it's too much work. Again, you can do better on that. The only other thing that I see here that's really auspicious is that when you decide to show your true colors, we see like a really great energy around success and acceptance. But you got to accept yourself, and you don't want to run away from an opportunity either. Okay. Good stuff. Your communication skills are pretty good. If you practice the way that I talked about practicing, you'll hit it. You'll hit your mark. So for those of you that have to do public speaking, defending a dissertation, asking someone out on a date, whatever, you just have to practice. You have to very much know your work before you get there. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next piece, love and relationships. So we have unity. Divine feminine sort of energy coming through on this one, but it's very sort of warrior type. And so some of you are fighting for that cooperative energy. And this kind of like warrior goddess energy reminds me a lot of what we're seeing here with the Five of Wands here, which is, for some of you, it feels like you're fighting for recognition. So let's take a look specifically at the three different areas that I like to look at in relationships. And those of you that are in love, those of you that are seeking love or relationships, and then those of you that aren't focused on romance, but are just curious what messages are coming in around partnerships. All right, so let me turn the camera down and let's take a look. Okay, so if we were to, let me just pull out the cards here so we can see everything. Okay, so for those of you in a relationship right now, the biggest thing that's coming through is honesty and making sure that you can kind of just talk about what's on your mind. You may also have stumbled upon something where maybe someone wasn't telling a lie, but they weren't telling the entire truth either. So this is a revelation or, you know, truth coming out. Conversation, communication, working through it, it'll be all right here. We actually see the Two of Wands, which is bringing you into a better place. We have the Five of Wands up here, which is showing that if you do the work, you'll be able to kind of get there. But there's a little bit of work. Two of Wands, Two of Wands and Five of Wands. So as long as you're willing to see it from their perspective and put some work in, I think things will work out all right. We also see some resource limitations. So, and also 60-40 here, basically, with the Four of Stones and the Six of Stones, or Four of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles. There's just a little inequity in how much the other person's invested. So we want to see closer to 50-50. We want to see some taking of turns here. You can't always have a perfectly equal, but both sides should be supporting one another. Okay. So that's it, balance. And then there's a big opportunity on the sort of plate for many of you. New job, perhaps wanting to sell or buy something, and you guys have to figure out if you're on the same page on that. You might need to kind of get space from the other person. They may walk away. The important thing is, do they come back? If they come back, I feel like there's going to be a successful conversation. So try to avoid walking away. Do take a breather if you need it, but eventually I see a resolution. So it looks pretty good. If there's no kind of arguments, again, I just think it's about making sure that you're both getting enough rest and that you're able to pursue what you want. Kind of realignment to goals is going to be important here. All right. Honesty again with the moon as well. If you're looking for love this month, many of you have to figure out a couple of things here. I would say, first of all, the money situation or the self-confidence situation is coming through. So get your finances where they need to be, get your calendar kind of balanced out as well. And then just take a risk, take a leap of faith. Let the Fool card get you out of this sort of feeling of, I don't know if I can do it. You never know unless you ask. And then once you ask, there's no sort of looking back with regret. You may not always like what you hear, but you at least erase that feeling of, I could have, I should have, I would have. So that's the important thing there. I do see really positive movements here. If I look aside from this, it looks like there could be good news surrounding a job, a raise, a new job, an offer, an opportunity. So I like that. There could also be someone that's interested in you. Could be an air sign coming in as well. If you are not looking for love and just want to understand the dynamics of partnerships this month, I think that the main thing for you is to ask for more. Asking for more, saying no, putting up healthy limits will help you. I do see that it's a very fruitful month for business, and I see that you're trending in the right direction there. So spend that time and energy on personal development, self-development, business, resource management. I actually think that it would be a great time for you to go to a gathering or event. The Six of Wands shows a successful gathering. So this is a really good time for you to be out there and be with other people, okay? So by all means, say yes to an RSVP if you need to. Finally, with that Five of Wands card for all types of relationships, it just needs to feel like both parties are putting in the work, because if you're not, then it's just work, okay? All right, so let's go ahead now and look at your Destiny card, and then we'll move on to the next portion, which is exciting because eventually we'll be looking at next year. All right, so Destiny is change. We have Osiris here, and Osiris is all about renewal, as you see there with the caption. And just like transformation, which I wrote about in my book, sometimes death deities kind of get a bad rap, but they're not. They're not good or bad. They're just there to kind of like open or close a door for you. So what I see here is it would make perfect sense for us to get Osiris around January 31st and around December 31st and January 1st, because that is the doorway. So what you get to do is put to rest anything from the past that you don't want. You can step into the new year feeling this renewal. You basically get both of these here. And if there's been something over the past year, decade, or longer that you felt like is stagnating, you owe it to yourself right now to step into that new you, okay? So that's all Osiris wants you to basically do, is to step into the new you. And my own experience with death and rebirth is that we do reincarnate based on my soul recollections and my past life flashbacks. We live this lifetime once, though, and we only get so many days in each year. So look at what you didn't get a chance to do and decide to do it differently next year. Chart a new course. It's a new year. The old year is pretty much done. So Osiris is coming in to sweep up, thank goodness, right, 2021, and to usher in 2022. And he's just encouraging us to step through the gateway. Okay, it's a symbolic death and rebirth. We never need to fear the death card in tarot, or the World, or the Fool, or the Six of Swords, or the Four of Swords. Like I said, they're all movements. Think of like an orchestra, right? There's these different movements of music. So our life is the same way. Sometimes it's really, really loud. Sometimes it's really, really soft and quiet. And so a lot of times the beginning is just like that. After a really loud movement, it gets a little quiet, and you get to decide, where am I going to focus next, all right? I don't know why music is coming through so strongly today, but it is, so there must be some musicians out there. All right, let's pull one card for the big idea. The big idea is just what it sounds like. What's January 2022 all about? What can you focus on to make the most out of it? Although I think we just hit on it with Osiris there, but let's see. We got two cards, so I'll let them both come out. All right, so we have the King of Cups. Yay. It's time to be happy. It's time to feel love. And by all means, allow that to come into your life if you'd like to. This particular King of Cups came in reverse, so many of you may be feeling this sense of just being a little bit overwhelmed, and I think that's okay. It comes through the holiday season anyway. So find that creative outlet that you need. I mentioned so many different types of creative outlets. Even engineering is one. When you put your mind and energy into something and build something, that's something that's creative. Just find an outlet for that. That's going to be great. Some of you are choosing to focus on family, friends, and new relationships, or love in general, love with a capital L. So that's one thing that this month is about, is emotional well-being, mental health, and also love in your life, passion in your life. Now we have the Survivor card, the Nine of Wands, and it says here, respect. You bet. It's like that Aretha song, taking care of business and respecting yourself, for sure. But you've actually earned this moment. You're not going to step back from it, and you are going to push through that final step. I wasn't at the real race or the real dance or the real whatever that performance was. I was at the dress rehearsal. So I feel like December in a big way is already the dress rehearsal, but you're going to have to show up sometime in January and perform. So Make room for what it is that you care about and get ready for the actual performance. The dress rehearsal is now, whenever you watch this. Give yourself a couple weeks and then step into quote unquote performance mode. Okay. Good messages, powerful messages for you. All right. We're going to look at blessings and blocks. One question for you to kind of think about, and then we'll look at the year ahead. All right. So blessings and blocks. All right. So for the next month ahead, we're going to look at something to really, really embrace, a good opportunity for you. And let's see what that is about. So hold on a second. Blessings for the month of January, blessings for the next 6 to 8 weeks. What is it about? Nine of Swords on this one. That's interesting. So you had the Nine of Wands, which is not giving up, right? The Nine of Swords here reversed is saying, I'm no longer giving in to fear. Nine of Swords typically in the upright position would be sometimes not being able to fall asleep because you're afraid of things, sometimes being uncomfortable with ambiguity and with the unknown and starting to kind of put yourself down that rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, what if this, and this happens and how am I going to deal with it? The reversal of this is starting to not worry so much. So the blessing here, in the best way possible that I can phrase this, is you're stopping the worrying over things that you can't control. You're going to focus instead on what you can control. That's a really nice blessing, actually. I'm not going to worry about the unknown. I'm going to instead concentrate. Let's replace the word worry. I'm going to concentrate and focus on what I want and how I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to trust in the divine that it's going to support me, because it will, because you got an Ace of Pentacles in the crowning position. I'm going to trust in that, and everything else will work itself out. If I have fears or uncertainties, I'll educate myself, but I'm not going to sit here and be afraid anymore. Okay? Let's go ahead now and look at your potential block. Block, of course, is something that you can avoid and kind of work around, because it's not going to necessarily show up as a block. All right. I like this one. Okay, so you got a lot of fives, you got a lot of nines this month. It's interesting. So we have the Five of Swords here, also reversed. All of yours are reversed, but I'm not worried about this because it's in a very sort of movable space here. So we have the Five of Swords, and we have this little goat, I think, trying to avoid an unnecessary conversation, and I'm with him on that. You're not going to get caught in someone else's crosshairs. You're not going to get stuck in someone else's argument. What this is for you is someone that says, isn't that right? Don't you think so? But you actually don't think so. And you don't think that it's right. Don't get roped in to someone's bad idea or to someone's dramatic conversation. Or, hey, listen to what someone said. Can you believe that? And you just have to sort of push back and say, did they really say it? Who did you hear it from? I'm not going to be a part of the gossip. So you're going to avoid gossip. You're going to avoid arguing with someone who doesn't listen. You're going to avoid agreeing with someone who's incorrect. And you'll just say, actually, we're not on the same page. I don't have enough to have an opinion on that. So push back or walk away from that, because you can dodge a bullet, or in this case, an arrow. Okay. So yeah, we do have both. We have a lot of symbols coming through: Taurus, Capricorn, and Aries. There's a lot of different sort of energies coming through here. I think there's a lot of strong people around you. So I would just say you have to find your inner strength too. And I'm mentioning the archer here because we have an archer here on this card. So yeah, we've got like all of the symbols kind of present today. But with this, let's focus less on the astrological person on that. And I'm going to say instead, focusing on avoiding an unnecessary debate, conversation, or getting roped into something that doesn't make sense. You don't want that on your record. You don't want that to catch up with you with, someone saying, well, I talked to them and they said this. Just step away from that. Okay. Let's go ahead now and quickly do a viewer's choice. And then while you're doing that, I may do a reader's choice. Then we'll get into the year ahead and then we'll meditate. All right. So for viewer's choice, let's take a look at some of these things. I think I'd be remiss to not look at opportunities for renewal. That's the way it's kind of put on that card. So give me a second to type it up. And then once I've typed it, anybody that's watching live, you'll be able to do it if you're on a desktop or a mobile device. So viewer's choice. First option here is opportunities. or renewal. The second thing that I'd like to look at, I'm really drawn to the Two of Wands. So I think for many of you, this is sort of like landing on a decision, being able to really decide what it is that you want to do, landing on a decision, and also sort of like envisioning, seeing it, figuring out how to kind of like conjure up what it is that you're trying to do here. And then let's look at one more thing. Okay, so we're looking at resource management. All right, so all of you now have a chance to vote on it that are watching live. I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. I'm just going to pull a wild card here. So, because I feel like I picked the main topics. So let's look at wild cards. If there's any sort of general message that we've missed while you're voting on that, and then I'll move on to whichever gets the most votes. Okay, you got a lot of questioning around, like a lot of different swords this month. It's interesting. Then with the Five of Swords and now the Eight of Swords here. The Eight of Swords, this one's kind of interesting because it's almost like the Hermit came through on this card and is leading the way. So oftentimes when we don't have what it takes to sort of, or we don't have the feedback or the validation, we have to go within. So normally with the Eight of Swords, you would see someone that's blindfolded and surrounded by the swords and wondering, how do I get out? In this one, they're actually negotiating around it, kind of like moving around it, going uphill, but they have the lantern from the Hermit. So trust your inner guidance right now. Even if you're feeling like I'm not getting, is it working? Why am I not seeing anything? Why is it all sort of like unclear? You need to trust your lessons that you've learned and the insight that you've gained over this lifetime and other ones. So go within. Don't worry about the ambiguity. You have to have some comfort with the ambiguity, especially as you enter into change. So it looks like we have a leader here by about 47%. I'll wait for just a moment to validate that, but landing on a decision looks like it's it. So let's see. Thank you to everybody that voted. Yes, we have by 46% landing on a decision and sort of working with that energy of the Two of Wands. How do I envision something new? What's the message about deciding? All right, so we have the Green Woman, the Empress card. She's upright, which I like. Earlier, I mentioned you wanted to avoid the Empress reversed. So in her upright position, it's kind of like the quintessential mother card here, birthing, creation. What is it that will give you the sense of more power, autonomy, and also like, what are you more connected to? What do you really have a vested interest in seeing kind of come out into the universe? This is your time to do that. So choose the path that gives you a little bit more of a say. And if you need to do it on your own, by all means, do it on your own. She's here saying, yeah, you can do it. You've always had the power to do it. And she's upright, which says, birth it now, do it now. You can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. We also kind of see her sitting at a cauldron in this card. The Green Man and the Green Woman, a lot of times you'll see them on pubs, and they're kind of like a Celtic symbol that have been around for a while. This is a Celtic deck. So with this, it's renewal. So it goes right along with Osiris, right? And so this is basically about creating something even when you've lost something. So you've always got that potential within. And this is that big seed or big egg energy here at the top here. So I feel like you're sitting on something really great right now. She's saying, take the bull by the horns and do something really positive with it. Okay. If not now, then when? All right. So let's go ahead now and pull past, present, and future cards for next year. And then we'll get into the meditation. Okay. So we're looking now at 2022. I'm going to ease up the cards here a little bit so you can watch me shuffle. And then we'll see if there's some messages for the year in front of us here. Okay. So I only usually do this with the January reading, so it'll be interesting to see what messages are coming through for you. 2022, past, present, and future influences. Wow. Okay. So let me pull up the cards. You got a couple of queen cards, which I like. So the lesson from the past year, we have the swan here, and Queen of Swords coming through, communication, voice, and action. So have you done all that you said that you wanted to do? Have you said everything you needed to say? She's coming through and saying, if not, do it now or do it right at the beginning of the year. Make sure that you get it out there, write it down, put it into words, somehow act upon it. Also, swans are beautiful. They don't always look beautiful when they're young, but they look beautiful later. So this is about how you end something, how you kind of wrap something up and have the grace, the beauty that you've earned and that you found over time that a swan has here. So your communications and your actions are kind of like, I would say, at the front of the line here, and you really want to make sure that you're getting that out there. January, February, March, etc. As we're looking at kind of the middle of next year, we have the Queen of Wands, which is one of my favorite cards. A very unusual Queen of Wands. Normally, we would see her sitting in the desert with a black cat, creating abundance where there should be none. We get that energy of abundance here because we have a rabbit or a hare, and rabbits reproduce quite a bit. So it's basically showing rapid movement, rapid energy coming in of opportunity and abundance. So if you felt like you haven't had enough money or time or energy or something, the rabbit's coming in and saying that's changing. You have to keep your ears open. That's unavoidable in this hare card. So listen to what people are saying, listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, act quickly on it. The only thing that you want to avoid with the rabbit is what we saw here with the doe, I think here, or the little baby deer, is being afraid. These are skittish sort of totems and animals. So you want to make sure that you don't kind of like jump too quickly away from something or towards something. Ultimately, when we look at the big outcome of the year ahead, we see, I think, completion for you. We have the King of Swords reversed, but this is great. You've got a lot of air energy. So for some of you, this can also be a relationship or a partnership. King and Queen of Swords. It doesn't have to be love. It could be business. It could be friendship. But one thing that I see is that if you are looking at partnering up or trying to kind of connect with someone, you're kind of moving in different directions at present. So you need to let that person kind of be on the same page, or you have to kind of, there might be a sort of like a move that's necessary or a realignment. For those of you that are single and happy, this is making sure that if you have a couple of things that you're trying to do, that they align. So I was coaching someone recently, and they have like their true path that they want, and then they have this other thing that they're doing. And I could see it encroaching on the true path and also taking energy away from it. So I would say for you, there has to be a point at which you choose the path. How much do you need before you choose the path? How much encouragement, money, support, time, rehearsal, etc. There comes a point where you've done it and you have to take the training wheels off and you have to say goodbye and you have to step through that sort of door of opportunity and choose the other path. So I think the big thing for you, we got it here with the decisions, and now I understand it even more than when we clarified it, is that you're between two paths. And the Queen of Wands at the center is telling me you can make either of them work. This one's the one that you want a little bit more. So focus on creating a pathway to this, okay? So these two are going to work in tandem, and you're going to basically create a new path for yourself, which is exciting. All right, really, really great messages here. Nice energy for 2022. And I like that you got an abundant card. Even though it's not Pentacles, she can make something happen where nothing else exists. So we like the Queen of Wands, especially. If I had to pick like a problem-solving card, I'd want her on my side because she could look at a situation and find like a hidden door. All right. But you're going to have to use your voice next year as well. I would be remiss not to say that with all the swords cards. So decide how and when you're going to really speak up and use your voice. All right. We are now getting ready for the meditation. There's one other part after this. We're going to pull a final card at the end. So before we meditate or do anything like that, take a moment to scribble down what your final question for me is. If it's about love, if it's about work, or if it's something else that I haven't covered, go ahead and scribble that down or tap it into your phone. Just a couple of quick reminders and then we'll meditate. First of all, please do hit the like button once. Don't hit it twice. That unlikes it. It's not like Facebook or Instagram. Just hit it once. If you haven't, it'll help other people discover this. If you're brand new, again, this is something you do once in the entire time that you're on YouTube. Subscribe. If you've never opted into notifications, it's a great way to know when I'm doing future projects or future videos. Please follow me on social media if you'd like to. All of my handles are here. And I do post reminders on those platforms. And I do some specific things like on Instagram. Sometimes I'll do lives as well. If you'd like to give back, you can do that right now. I'll say thank you to everybody that has given back a super chat or super sticker at the end. And again, on replay, you can hit thanks if you'd like to. All right, let's go ahead now and meditate. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. So for today, we're going to have to work with the energy of renewal. We have Osiris here. We have the butterfly. The butterfly is a little bit more playful, so we'll work with the butterfly since it's there. Okay, so even though for many of you it's winter, we're going to kind of probably work with the springtime image. While I'm setting this up, by the way, I'll let you vote on what instrument you'd like me to use for the sound bath afterwards. So what instrument? I have a singing bowl and a crystal pyramid. So you can choose if you'd like to. If you're not familiar, you can let other people choose. All right, so let's imagine that you are in a lush, beautiful, green, sort of rolling hill environment. Maybe it's like Scotland or something like that. So all I see are beautiful rolling hills, and it's springtime. There's no rain today. The grass is dry. So imagine that you're walking through the long grass, finding a place where you can kind of sit down and just relax. And it's nice and soft to the point that you lay back and it feels like a pillow behind you. As you're looking up at the sky, completely devoid of any clouds, just beautiful, bright blue, the sun is above you, you close your eyes and take a deep breath. Sigh it all out. A lot of times we hold up all that pressure. It's good to sigh it out. Let's do it one more time. Take a deep breath and sigh it out. Whoever's been on your mind, whatever's been annoying you, whatever's been happening, let's really just like let it out. Yeah, no more. Let it out. All right. As you are laying down and looking around you, you see beautiful spring flowers in bloom. Delicate flowers around you, nothing that would be harmful or kind of like irritating. But on these little tiny flowers, you see beautiful butterflies starting to land and gently move their wings. And a few of them start to move around you. Wherever you need healing, allow for those butterflies to sit on your body. Let's call them especially onto the chakras, the 7 chakras, and the solar plexus and also the sacral chakra. So we want basically right here, and then a little bit below that, we want to see the butterflies sitting on those areas as well. So as the butterflies sit on you and gently move their wings, you feel the energy around you starting to move. You feel any blockages in your heart, in your throat, in your third eye, in your crown, start to open up as on each one of those energy points, they start to move. And you can feel sometimes even on your face a gentle touch as one of the wings kind of touches your face, and it just feels wonderful. You feel this delicate movement and embrace of energy around you. If you'd like to see a lot around you, that's fine. Imagine, in fact, that if you're willing to take the flight with them, that you allow several of them to land on your shirt or create this sort of imaginary wing around you, formed by butterflies, not just by you having wings, but they line up and create sort of like a living wing on you and lift you up into the air. So this sort of swarm of butterflies is lifting you up and allowing you to see everything around you, to see your life from a different perspective. If you want to, you can imagine that there is sort of like this cosmic doorway in front of you representing the year behind and the year ahead. The butterflies will bring you into the energy of the new year if you'd like them to do that. And they're going to do so with grace and with a delicate sort of energy. So imagine right now that these lovely butterflies are lifting you up, gently moving you through one little flap of a wing at a time until you go through the doorway. As you are in that center of the doorway, stepping into the new year, I'm going to play the singing bowl for you and allow you to really embrace the new opportunity, to focus on the energy of starting anew. It's all about renewal. So whatever blocked you once will not block you anymore. Whatever has eluded you will now come through, and you're just going to open your heart and your mind and find yourself on that other part of the cosmic gateway. Take one last deep breath. Imagine now that the butterflies are gently landing you on the other side of the gateway, that they are continuing to kind of flutter all around you, welcome you in, kind of applauding you for being able to take that step to walk through and explore something different, something new, to let go of the old. Feel that your heart has more room to experience whatever comes through. Your mind is open in a way that it wasn't before. Your eyes and ears can see and hear things that they couldn't previously, and that you're going to be able to really embrace whatever the universe wants to show you. When you're ready, open your eyes on the next exhale, and let's take a look now at whatever your final question is for me. All you have to do is focus on the question, say it to yourself, ask it in your head, read it if you wrote it on the paper, and let's see what the answer is for you. All right, so we have the 10 of Pentacles, and hey, guess what? We just went through the gateway, right? It says home. So for some of you, you may be looking for a new apartment or a new house. This is a confirmation that that's within reach. For some of you, you might be trying to find a place where you can feel more comfortable. This could be an environment, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, something where you feel like this is more me. The 10 of Pentacles, of course, is also a really fruitful card. So this is having more than enough resources in your life. And we also see sort of the divine feminine and masculine sort of symbols here. So for some of you, this could indicate marriage. It could indicate a partnership, and it's a fruitful one at that. As a yes, no, it's a yes. In a timing sort of card, this is telling us that it could be something that could take a little bit of time, but not forever, maybe like 10 weeks. For some of you that are really close to the finish line, maybe 10 days, but sooner than later. So we see something within reach and something that's really worth the work. And there's a little bit more to do, and you can see it. So keep reaching for whatever it is that you're trying to sort of get. It's worth the time. It's worth the energy. All right. The card did come through reverse. There were a lot of reversals when I was looking at all of the sort of soul questions, the blessings and the blocks. So to me, what this is indicating is that for some of you, this can represent the pressures that we feel from work, society, community, social spheres. So for many of you, this is just saying that you're not going to give in to those peer pressures, and that you realize that on many levels, people will take as much as you're willing to give. So what we talked about earlier with those boundaries, with the ability to say yes and no, as illustrated with the 6 of Pentacles, is definitely a part of the 10 of Pentacles as well. Okay. You are seeing it from a first person point of view. And that whole thing of walking through the gateway is what we see with this one as well. All right. So positive things on the horizon for you. It looks really good. All right. So thank you so much for being a part of today's reading, for your support throughout the years, because I've been doing this for a while. I'm approaching my 7th year. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here and for helping me out. If you like what you see, hit that like and the subscribe button. And please share this with some other people. There's an opportunity here to share it. And whenever I post it on social media, there's usually a share button. So help me reach some other people, because the algorithm here is something that's always hard to figure out. But your assistance is something that I can kind of work with. So if you like what you see, please do share and interact with it when it's live. Put a comment, say what you liked. All right, I'm going to take a moment now to just give some gratitude to everybody that was present today and gave back a little bit in the form of super chat, super sticker, or membership. So let me pull up that window and we'll take a look at that. One quick thing before I move on to that is, if you would like a link again for my upcoming schedule here it is. That's for this week. Let me just talk about what's upcoming, and then we'll move on to the next piece. So again, on Friday, tomorrow, December 10th, I'll be doing Leo. Then I have a collective on Sunday. Next week, I'll be looking at Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And I'll have those links up shortly. Okay, so back to what I was looking at. Let me quickly say thank you to new members and anyone that rejoined. And then I'll say thanks to anyone that did a super chat or super sticker. So to those that have recently joined, one is just a bunch of letters. So I'll just say CHK, thank you, welcome, you're brand new, I can see that. Thank you to Carol Hell for rejoining. It looks like you've been a member for 3 months, welcome back. Margaret, let's see, Wilkins, welcome, brand new member. Looks like we have a couple people that just rejoined here. So all three of you are rejoining. We have Mary Anita Schmidt, Bible Chat, and Martha. I can't say the last name very well. I think it's Verwist, but welcome back. Good to have you here as well. Okay, let me go ahead and say thank you to anybody that gave super stickers or super chats right now. I appreciate that. It helps quite a bit. And I saw we had a couple of lovely, generous contributions as well. So let's see. I think everything started off today with Leon Klaus. Thank you so much. Nicola, I appreciate you. Big thank you to Tina Cuevas for the $50. Much appreciation. Sanmaki, Elska Free, Ravi Yannick, and also Beverly. Thank you for the $20. I appreciate that. And Becky Ryan. And let me see if I missed anybody. Hopefully I didn't. I don't think I did. I saw there were a couple of highlighted channel messages as well. So thanks again to Sanmaki for rejoining. I can see that you rejoined there. And for everyone else that's already a member or who has been supporting me and participating for a while, hope you enjoyed it. And Apollo's sleeping behind me. Hopefully you saw him at the beginning. I was going to grab him, but we're going to let him sleep right now. Everybody have a fantastic week ahead. Again, join me tomorrow and on Sunday if you'd like to. And in the meantime, be kind to yourself. Happy New Year if you watch this in the new year. And happy holidays if you're watching in December. All right, everybody. Bye-bye, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.